DoorDash can be a really great side hustle, but it can also leave a lot to be desired. As a Dasher, it's your responsibility to make sure you are getting the most bang for your buck, the most dollars per hour. And so I have some ideas that have helped me earn more as a DoorDasher that I want to share with you. Let's get into it. The very first thing that I would recommend is making sure you're DoorDashing during peak hours. These are hours where most people are ordering DoorDash. And really the big value here is that you will be receiving more orders, which means there are more opportunities for higher value orders, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. The other part of this is that you're going to want to DoorDash in hotspots. That's what they're called on the DoorDash app. And it's just areas where there's lots of restaurants that people are ordering from. And these hotspots update on the app. So you can kind of see them in the app highlighted to show you where you should be hanging out while you wait for orders. Now, of course, there are many times during the day when you can DoorDash and still get really good orders. However, if you DoorDash during the highest volume of orders, you're just most likely to get the high paying orders. The other thing that you should take into account is that sometimes during peak hours, probably like between 4 and 6 p.m., you're going to be dealing with traffic in many cases. And so in my area, I always try to dash during peak hours, but also when there's no traffic. Finding that sweet spot of the time of day that's best for you to dash is really, really important. And it's going to be different for every area. So as you get out there and start your dashing, just become familiar with your area and make sure that you DoorDash during the best times possible. The second thing is making sure that you take high value orders. Now, what exactly is a high value order? For me, it's $2 per mile or more. If I get an order that's less than $2 per mile, I'm not even going to look at it. And the reason for that is there's a lot of things you need to consider, costs specifically, that play into how much you can earn as a Dasher. And so you're probably wondering, well, what goes into that number? The first thing is gas and maintenance on my car. I'm assuming between 50 to 58 cents per mile of gas and maintenance for my car. And then the second thing is just time. Orders that are farther away obviously take more time to fulfill. And so that means less time that I can be taking new orders. Essentially, I'm guaranteeing that time that I spend on that order is going to be worth it kind of from an hourly perspective. I want to make sure that I'm averaging $25 to $30 an hour minimum. And to do that, I take $2 a mile. Now in your area, it might vary. Maybe it's $1.50 a mile, maybe it's $2.50 a mile. But as you start dashing again, you're going to start to know what makes most sense for you. The next thing you can do to make sure you earn more money as a DoorDasher is just establish good communication points with your customers. Customers just want hot food fast. And so as a Dasher, there are some things you can control and there's some things you cannot control. If a restaurant's being really slow or something like that, communicate it with the customer. The customer has very limited information on their end, and sometimes to them it will look like you're just being slow or not making any progress, when in reality it's not your fault. And so if you help them understand why the process is taking longer than it should be, they're going to be really thankful for that, and they're going to make sure that the blame is not put on you. There was one time where I ended up at a restaurant and the order was taking way too long. Now, some of you who are experienced are going to say, "Oh, you should have just canceled the order. You shouldn't have taken it." I know this was the first time that this had happened to me. I ended up waiting probably 30 or 40 minutes, but I was in constant communication with the customer, and they had already tipped on the app, and I just told them, I'm so sorry that this is happening. I got their food and I finally brought it to them. And not only did they tip me on the app, but they gave me another, I think, $10 or $15 cash tip for actually waiting for their order. They just understood it was out of my hands, and they knew that waiting there was hurting me just as much as it was hurting them. So customers can oftentimes be understanding. Just communicate with them. The fourth thing, and this actually ties into the third thing that you need to do and know, the restaurants in your area that you just need to never go to. There are restaurants on my list that I will never dash to because I just know how slow they are. There's also certain areas of town that I just won't go to because I know how congested the roads get. These are things that are very specific to your area, but they are things that you really need to know. There are some restaurants that just do not handle DoorDashers and other food delivery services very well. They don't prioritize us. They'll rather prioritize a customer that's in the restaurant rather than somebody there like a Dasher getting food for another customer. So once you find out what those are, have a list, kind of a blacklist of ones that you never go to. And a tip to help find these, you can actually probably find DoorDash groups maybe on Facebook or other social media platforms for your area specifically. And a lot of people will have posted kind of blacklisted restaurants. Now, I will say those kind of generalized restaurants, some people just have bad experiences. And so it is important to probably go to the restaurant on your own to see what your experience is, because there are some restaurants that I really enjoyed dashing to that other people said they would never go to. So it is better to base it on personal experience, but at the same time, you can kind of get a general idea by going on some of these platforms. So I'd really encourage you to check those out. If you do these 4 things, most likely you're going to have a decent experience door dashing, and you're probably going to be able to maximize your earnings. As someone who's side hustling, it's probably your goal to make as much money as possible in the shortest amount of time. And DoorDash is a great way to do that. Not only do you have a lot of flexibility, but since you are working for tips is a great way to potentially make a lot of money. Now, of course, there's the other side of that where you may not make as much, but if you do your best to do a really good job and make sure you're informed of the area, make sure that you're only taking high value orders, then you'll probably do just fine. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you found it helpful, I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.